Hi everybody, today we will talk about rewards and penalties. Of course, everybody loves rewards, but I have been thinking lately about productivity, and about how we achieve our goals. So I started doing a little bit reading, and this is really interesting. What we are discovering right now is that penalties are sometimes even more rewarding than actually giving a reward, right? From some opinion, penalties are more motivating, so I started thinking about that. Really? Do we want to inflict pain on ourselves in order to achieve what we wanted? Sometimes the answer is kinda yes, as I hate to admit it. Which is most effective for helping people learn? Punishment or reward? We'll consider the case of this Israeli fight pilot training because instructors there found that negative feedback was far superior to positive feedback. If a cadet performed a particularly poor maneuver, they would reprimand him, but they noticed that on follow-up attempts, his performance invariably improved. On contrast, if they praised the cadet for executing a skillful maneuver, his performance on subsequent attempts typically declined. So, naturally, they concluded that positive feedback is ineffective or even detrimental, while negative feedback is what works. The problem is this seems to contradict a body of research that shows positive feedback is actually more effective than negative feedback. In another study, rugby players were given a video feedback session following a game, except half of them were shown their highlights and they were praised for what they have done, and the other half were shown their biggest blunders, their mistakes, and they were scolded for doing things incorrectly. Now, a week later at the next game, it was the players who had received the positive reinforcement who performed the best. And, in fact, the difference was not just psychological. Blood tests revealed that the players who received positive feedback actually had a higher level of testosterone than players who had received negative feedback. I think that is quite remarkable that even a weak positive feedback, you could still see a physiological difference between the two types of feedbacks. Wow, well, so why didn't this work for the Israeli fight pilot? Well, maybe there are cultural differences, and in some cultures, negative feedback works better, or maybe it is task dependent. Perhaps some skills like learning to fly a fast jet require more negative feedback, or maybe the feedback had nothing to do with the performance of the fight pilot at all. Maybe they would have performed in the same way regardless of the feedback they received. Go with me on this. We started an easy experiment with little math work to explore an explanation.
We will conduct an experiment to see whether reward or punishment works best to give people motivation, to drive them to achieve their goals more effectively. In the experiment, each test subject is given a question paper of 50 simple arithmetic questions. They are divided into 3 groups: a reward group, a punishment group, and a control group. They are not informed of the nature of the experiment, but instead, they are told to be invited to test their ability to finish simple calculation. They will do the experiment individually. When meeting with a test subject from reward and punishment group, they are given $10 as a token of participation, but there is no money given to control group. After that, they are given 1 minute to finish the test. Before beginning the test, subjects in reward group are told to be given extra $10 if they can finish all questions. Subjects in punishment group will have their $10 taken back if they cannot finish the questions. Control group is told nothing. At the end of the test, the number of correct questions are calculated. Then their money is taken back, and some treats are given to them as a token of gratitude.
After the experiment, we record correct answers, their age and gender, then using the ANOVA to test if the means are equal. The null hypothesis test is mu1 equals to mu2 equals mu3. The against the alternative high is not that all the means are equal. Then, using program SAS, we find that the target value is 0.7, and this value we can calculate the p-value is 0.5334, which means we just have 46.66% of confidence to reject whole. So there is no strong evidence to show the means are not equal. Does age and gender have any effect? We can see that the distribution of the factors, it seems male and young people do the better. But according to the calculation result, the p-values 0.08 and 0.15 are larger than the significant level 0.05. The conclusion is, in the data we collected, the age, gender, reward, or punishment does not have obvious effect on the result.
Reward is basically a token of appreciation. Intrinsic rewards are non-physical rewards. They can be defined as the feeling of contentment a person finds in completion of any task, which include sense of achievement, recognition, and so on. Extrinsic rewards are the physical rewards that come from an external source only. For example, pay, commission, and promotion. Geoffrey F. Potts, a professor from the University of South Florida, states that punishment accelerates the rate of adaptation, whereas reward improves memory retention. There are also inter-individual differences. Some individuals do well under pressure, under competitive stress, whereas others do the opposite. Therefore, motivation, risk, and reward, as well as individual differences, can have distinctive effects on each person.
So, which is the better motivator after all? From the experimental result, there are no strong evidence that can prove the difference between two kinds of reinforcement. We formed a simple theory to explain this phenomenon. Consider normal distribution. This is how people behave in some tasks. Most people are around the mean value, and when you choose those beyond the average to do the task again, they were rewarded by the way, tend to also have the similar mean value. As for the people below average in the first try, their behavior will improve to average level now, and this is just the regression to the mean. That has nothing to do with the feedback and everything to do with the statistical nature of our universe. These two kinds of feedback won't have a certain pattern in the motivation, since there are always too many other factors, or even pure luck. Therefore, if you yourself stay positive, it may just work out for the best in the long run.